Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. What I do is go through the lessons, reading them with the Holy Spirit and asking for clarity. And then I write whatever comes into my mind, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. I'm looking at lesson 46 today. God is the love in which I forgive. Paragraph 1. God does not forgive because he is never condemned. And there must be condemnation before forgiveness is necessary. Forgiveness is a great need of this world, but that is because it is a world of illusions. Those who forgive are thus releasing themselves from illusions, while those who withhold forgiveness are binding themselves to them. As you condemn only yourself, so do you forgive only yourself. When I was Catholic, I believed in a condemning God and sometimes would beg or bargain for forgiveness. It was really good news to know that God does not condemn us. So in reality, there's no need for forgiveness, but we're not dwelling in reality now. We're caught in an illusion of our own making, and so we must forgive it to be freed. We forgive the world one person at a time for a while until we begin to understand forgiveness. When I forgive another, I release myself from illusions. When I condemn someone, I condemn myself to the world of illusions. Paragraph 2. Yet, although God does not forgive, his love is nevertheless the basis of forgiveness. Fear condemns and love forgives. Forgiveness thus undoes what fear has produced, returning the mind to the awareness of God. For this reason, forgiveness can truly be called salvation. It is a means by which illusions disappear. As I read this, I remind myself that there is only fear or love. So if I feel anger at someone, that anger is an expression of fear. We might also say that fear is wrong-minded thinking, or fear is the ego. Another expression of fear is guilt, and another would be anxiety. Recognizing the forms of fear, it's easier for me to see how I can condemn others. For instance, if I thought someone was evil, guilt would be the form fear took. This condemnation would bind me to the illusion of a world of evil. My beliefs about the person being evil would reinforce in my mind the belief in evil. I cannot experience the peace of God if I believe in evil because there is no evil in God. I cannot know God if I believe his creations are evil. I can undo these harmful beliefs through forgiveness. From the perspective of the ego mind, this doesn't seem possible because the ego believes in the evil. But I can look at the person and the situation from the perspective of my holy mind. It is as if I took my dark thought of evil and placed it on the altar. There, the love of God would undo the belief that this one was evil. If I continued to bring all thoughts of evil to the altar to be undone, soon I would stop believing in evil. In this way, I would be saved from my illusions and I would become aware of God. Paragraph 3. Today's exercises require at least 3 full 5-minute practice periods and as many shorter ones as possible. Begin the longer practice periods by repeating today's idea to yourself as usual. Close your eyes as you do so and spend a minute or two in searching your mind for those whom you have not forgiven. It does not matter how much you have not forgiven them. You have forgiven them entirely or not at all. I thought at first there was no one I haven't forgiven, but then I reconsidered. Jesus says it doesn't matter how much I haven't forgiven. Did I forgive completely or not at all? So I asked for a name and one came to me. I realized that I had mostly forgiven this person and I had to laugh. It is just the ego trap that Jesus warns us about. I've learned that if I cannot say that I love this person unconditionally, then I have not forgiven him. If I think about our history, I find myself justifying my lack of forgiveness. Maybe others would agree with me. But I don't want to justify anger. I want to be free from anger and judgment. I want to be free of the illusion that anyone or anything outside me could upset me. I'm always upset because of a thought in my mind, and so to be free, I must change my thoughts. I place this situation and these thoughts on the altar and ask for love to heal. If, in other words, I practice true forgiveness, forgiveness without limits, and my mind is freed. Paragraph 4. If you're doing the exercises well, you should have no difficulty in finding a number of people you have not forgiven. It is a safe rule that anyone you do not like is a suitable subject. Mention each one by name and say, God is the love in which I forgive you, and add the name. The purpose of the first phase of today's practice periods is to put you in a position to forgive yourself. After you have applied the idea to all those who have come to mind, tell yourself, God is the love in which I forgive myself. Then devote the remainder of the practice period to adding related ideas such as, God is the love with which I forgive myself. God is the love in which I am blessed. If we were not so intent on believing in guilt, then we would not be so intent on finding someone else to be the guilty party. If we have any form of fear in our mind, we will try to protect that fear, project that fear. And I suppose we are protecting it, keeping it from going away. This is why I often remind myself that I'm not actually forgiving anyone else. I'm forgiving my projections onto them. In other words, I'm forgiving myself. When my mind is forgiven, that is, when it is healed through the love of God, I will not see guilt or fear anywhere. Paragraph 6. The form of the application may vary considerably, but the central idea should not be lost sight of. You might say, for example, I cannot be guilty because I'm a son of God. I have already been forgiven. No fear is possible in a mind beloved of God. There is no need to attack because love has forgiven me. Those are really excellent, aren't they? The practice period should end, however, with a repetition of today's idea as originally stated. Paragraph 7. The shorter practice periods may consist either of a repetition of the idea for today in the original or in a related form, as you prefer. Be sure, however, to make more specific applications if they are needed. They will be needed at any time during the day when you become aware of any kind of negative reaction to anyone, present or not. In that event, tell them silently, God is the love in which I forgive you. As I was finishing up this lesson, I thought of someone I don't particularly enjoy talking to. I don't hate her, and I do talk to her, but still, I would prefer not to do so. This is one of those sneaky, unforgiven thoughts. I placed this relationship on the altar so that God's love could heal it. Then I thought about the ways in which I have not forgiven myself. These were subtle as well, but what we might call idle thoughts. But then Jesus says there's no such thing. He says that all thoughts produce form at some level. So I've asked the Holy Spirit to show me these thoughts as well, so that they can be forgiven. Today's going to be a very productive day of forgiveness. Thank you so much for sharing this lesson with me and for watching my video. And if you found it helpful, please like it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Thank you. I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.